One of the areas that we spoke about in the last video was ensuring you focus on hiring people that have an ingrained business development process and discipline, whereby they're creating a rhythm around what it is that they do every week and every month in such a way that they're in front of enough customers at the right time and the right customers. And you know, many businesses don't yet have their inbound marketing funnel to a point where the salespeople no longer need to be proactive and find their own business opportunities. In fact, somewhere between 70 and 80% of technology sales organizations have not achieved that end. So when you're recruiting salespeople, it's really important to find people that understand how to drive their own pipeline in a methodical way, but also a rhythmical way that reaches a level of consistency in the meeting with the right number of customers. With that in mind, how do we qualify that throughout an interview process? So I'll give you guys some ideas around how we do it to help better manage your risk around this. So the first is, when you're in the interview, you need to assess if you're in front of a hunter or a farmer. Now, in the instance when we're after a hunter, and that is somebody that can win new logos, as opposed to grow existing ones that you have, which is the farmer, we need to find out whether or not they have the engine that drives opportunities into their pipeline and whether or not they bring that with them. So the first thing I would suggest to do is to start from a baseline of the sort of customers they've been dealing with. So what I'm suggesting that you do is you ask them, can you give me some examples of individual customers you've been working with in the last 12 months? So what you're after here is logo names. So I've dealt with ABC & Co, XYZ & Co. Have them go on until you've got 4 or 5 examples. These examples are going to give us a baseline for how they interact with customers. We're going to come back to each example. So once you've got them, what I want you to do is ask them about example number 1. Let's call them ABC & Co. So with ABC & Co, John, how did you come by that opportunity or that customer in the very first instance? So this is a critical baseline question. How did you come by that particular opportunity or customer in the very first instance? Now you're going to get a lot of varying answers, anything from they're an existing customer that I was given through to I cold called them and everything in between. But get that answer and move on. Go on to customer number 2, XYZ & Co. How did you come by them in the very first instance? Go on to customer number 3 and 4. If you need to go on to customer number 5 and 6 until you see a pattern, do so. But what we're looking for is a pattern as to how they come by the customers in the very first instance, and whether or not it's coming from their own initiative or if it's coming from that of their organization through inbound leads or what have you. You need to be looking here for when they've done something from their own initiative. That could be meeting someone at an event, gaining a referral, whatever it might be. It doesn't really matter at this point of the interview, only that it's proactive and it comes from their own initiative. So once you've qualified the pattern, then you know what sort of salesperson you're sitting in front of. The way I hear a lot of sales leaders interview for this particular area is they might put the answer in the question, which is very easy to do and very common, and I'm going to implore you not to do that. What does that sound like? It sounds a little bit like this. So John, can you give me an example of a customer you've won that's come from your own initiative in the first instance? And they give you an answer. And you might ask for a second example. And they've got a couple of examples of when they've gone out from their own initiative, got in front of someone new and won a piece of business. That might satisfy you that you're sitting in front of a hunter, but it shouldn't, because that might only be 5 to 10% of their experience. So it's important that you start from that baseline of asking for the 4 or 5 logos and then asking how they came by each one. That gives you a baseline for, you know, the percentage between new business and account management in their role based on the examples that they're giving you. Now, if you've noted that all 5 examples came from inbound leads or what have you, you can go on to ask a question about, can you give me an example of a time when you've won a customer meeting from your own initiative that's turned into a deal won? But you'll note that that's not the majority of what they do, and you'll take note of that, and it'll be what it'll be. So Now you've assessed if they're a hunter or a farmer. Let's move on from that. So you've got a hunter in front of you. You're satisfied that that's a majority of their role. What we need to do now is qualify if they bring this engine, this business development discipline, repeatable process or system that's going to drive the right volume of pipeline. So what I would suggest that you ask is a very simple question, and that is, how do you ensure your pipeline is always full? That's the question. How do you ensure your pipeline is always full? And then leave them to answer that. They might say, what do you mean? Can you give me some more clarity on that? That's your prompt to put the answer in the question. Don't do it. Don't go on to say, well, look, I want to know what it is you do every week and how you structure your time in such a way that you're consistently chasing new business. You've just put the answer in the question. So be careful not to do that. How do you ensure your pipeline is always full is the question. The second question that you can ask as a follow-up to that is to assess if they actually have a repeatable process. So do you have a process by which you ensure you have enough pipeline to deliver your target? So I'll say that again. Do you have a process by which you ensure you have enough pipeline to deliver target? Now, ideally, you would get an answer that might start with backwards planning from target down to how many proposals, the conversion on those proposals, how many meetings you need to have with the right people at the right time in order to get that many proposals out, etc. But you want a deeper answer than that. You want to know how they structure their time in such a way that they're doing enough of the right activities to deliver that number of meetings that's going to get their pipeline to where it needs to be at. So if they've been in sales longer than a couple of years, they'll be able to give you the backwards planning. That's not the be all and end all. What you want to know is, what is it that they do every week, day or month consistently that drives that number of meetings as a system, as a process, in such a way that they're building pipeline in a rhythmical fashion, and it just happens. We all know that when you get a salesperson that's doing that, combine that with a salesperson that when they're in front of the customer, they have that level of commercial curiosity to peel back the needs, that you're going to be onto a winner. So the other thing is you want to be understanding tactically, how do they actually go about meeting new clients and getting in touch with new clients? So find out about that and ask questions about that. You're looking for consistency in that activity though, yeah? So that's the key. Now, after the interview's finished and you've decided, you've taken this person through a process and you've come to a conclusion you want them on your team, don't do the reference checks as a tick box. Reference checks can be so much more than that, and you can get a lot more insights. And some of the questions that I've suggested to ask the candidate should be centered at the reference. So you're on the phone with their previous manager. You might be asking them, how did John or Jan go about ensuring their pipeline was always full? Did they have a repeatable process by which they could ensure they had the right amount of pipeline that would deliver their target? And you want to look for consistency from the reference as well and get a bit of a sense from that reference how they sold. Don't just ask them the standard questions. So hopefully that helps you to better understand how to qualify whether or not somebody's going to bring that business development discipline and repeatable process or system to your organization in such a way that they give you the revenue uplift you're investing in them for. So thanks for watching the video. I'll be with you in the next video to talk about commercial curiosity, what that means and how to qualify that throughout an interview process. Have a great day.